Hello and welcome. Today I'm doing a quick overview of competitive Pokemon. The target audience for this video is someone who's either played Pokemon a little bit, but never really got into the competitive side. You know, maybe you just max level your Charizard and swap through the Elite Four. Or honestly, if you've never played Pokemon at all, it's pretty straightforward to pick up. So this video shouldn't be too long. So Pokemon, there's a bunch of different monsters, and essentially the most common is Pikachu. So you could just think of it as like different playable characters. And depending on the format, you'll build a team or you'll be given a team to fight against other people. Each Pokemon has different abilities. And the abilities, I guess Pikachu only has two. They just all say what they do. So one is static. 30% chance of Pokemon making contact with this Pokemon will be paralyzed. There's different status effects, and we'll get to all those in a second. But basically, each Pokemon has its own intrinsic abilities, and then it has a move set. So Pikachu, this is the list of all of the moves in the current generation that you can teach Pikachu. So we could give him like, I don't know, Thunderbolt is a common one, and then like Body Slam. This is pretty much the Pikachu you would see in like the anime. Each attack has an accuracy value, and that's just the percentage chance it has of hitting, and then a power. And that's used to calculate damage. The damage calculation is pretty complex, but basically the higher the power is, obviously the more damage it will do. Some moves don't do any damage, like agility, so we'll put this in slot 3, I guess. Raises the user's speed by 2. If the accuracy is gone, it just means it's always going to have an effect. If you just use this, your speed is going to go up 2 stages. We'll get to what that means in a second, but basically you have a list of available attacks. They have different types. Okay, maybe this video is going to be a bit longer. There's a lot to explain. They have different types and things like that. The next is each Pokemon has fundamental stats. So they have HP, attack, and defense. Those are pretty straightforward if you played most games. Special attack and special defense are analogous to attack and defense, but they're for like special moves, so like psychic, lightning, and ice, as opposed to physical moves, which rely on attack and defense, like body slam and things like that. You can see Thunderbolt has this like bluish circle, whereas Body Slam has this like hit symbol. So Body Slam is a physical attack. So if you were doing damage with Pikachu, you would be calculating Body Slam's damage off of your base attack, and then whatever you were hitting, the damage would rely on their defense. Whereas Thunderbolt relies on Pikachu's special attack, and the damage depends on whatever you're hitting's special defense. Speed is pretty straightforward too. Basically, whoever has the highest speed will go first, and you would just attack in speed order. And then Pokemon have EVs. It's essentially, if you're playing competitive and not in the game, you could just think of it as like stats you can allocate. So this is like Pikachu's base stats. But if I want Pikachu to be like, have a lot of special attacks, you can see I can drag these EVs up. The max is 252, and you get a total of 508 total EVs. So you can give Pikachu like a lot of special attack and speed, and then give him some HP. And now his special attack total is 199. Instead of 136. So this matters a lot. And you can really customize your Pokemon. You can have a Pikachu who's special attacking, physically attacking. You can give your Pikachu defense and HP. You know, if you want him to be more bulky and take hits. So there's a lot of customization and team building in just setting your character's stats. In the real game, you'd have to train them up this way. But this is more just if you were to play, assuming you could just like, you know, have a friend do this or you set the EVs. Basically, you would plan them and then the training would happen behind the scenes or whatever. Okay, so that's roughly an introduction of like what the character is with their stats. The next is to explain types, because Pikachu, he is electric type. You can see the Pokemon's base stat type is electric. And then Thunderbolt is an electric type move. Body Slam is normal type move. He can get Focus Punch, which is a fighting type move. And this is a bit complicated at first, but essentially you would just look at this chart, memorize it, or you'll just kind of learn what's intuitive. This is how different type attacks affect Pokemon that have certain types. So let's say Pikachu is electric type. Let's say he uses an electric type move against a water type. Or this is using an electric type move against different Pokemon types. So if Pikachu Lightning Bolts a normal type Pokemon, a white square just means it does normal damage. Then there's super effective, which means it does double damage. And then not very effective, which does half damage. And then there's a couple that don't do anything. It has no effect. So if you use an electric move and your Pokemon, the opposing Pokemon is ground type, it won't do anything to that Pokemon. And this gets more complicated because you can have Pokemon with 2 different types. So like you can have a Pokemon who is water and ground type. So it's super effective to water type, or it doesn't have any effect on ground type. You just multiply the results together. So 2 times 0 is still 0. So Lightning Bolt would do nothing to a water ground type. Whereas if you have like a water grass, it does double damage to the water side, half damage to the grass side. So you would just end up doing normal damage to a water and grass type. I know this seems complicated, but really the chart, once you get the hang of it, it's reasonably straightforward. You just kind of look and see like, I have a water type and or like, you would be like, they're a fire type, what move should I use? And you're like, I probably want to use water, ground, or rock. Or if the opponent is psychic type, you would look down here and see you want to use bug, ghost, or dark type moves. And then the converse is like, if they are a psychic type, you probably want to send in fighting. No. If they're a psychic type, you probably want to set in a psychic type Pokemon or a steel type Pokemon or a dark type because they take literally no damage from psychic. So things like that are what you would be looking for when planning your team's stats. The next thing to talk about is these moves that boost statuses. So raises the unit speed by 2. And the easy way to figure this out is you just look at the by 2, there's different tiers. So you can go from -6 to 6 in terms of stat boosts. And I think this web page shows it. I'll link to it. But basically, you just take, if you're increasing it, you just add 1/2. So 2/2 means you're doing 100% damage. If you get +1 boost, it is 50% higher. So if you had like 100 speed, you would have 150. And then the same way you just increase the numerator of this fraction. So +6 is the highest, and it is 4 times speed, 4 times attack, whatever you're using. So agility, going back to my zoomed in version, raises the user's speed by 2. So the first time you would use it, Pikachu's speed stat would go from 216 up to 432. The second time you use agility, you would go up to 3 times speed. So you would get another 216. And then the third time you'd use it, you go up to 4 times speed, and that's the maximum. And then there's moves that decrease speed. I don't know if Pikachu has it. He might have String Shot. No, we'll go to Caterpie. The classic Uber's Pokemon Caterpie. So String Shot or something like that lowers the foe's speed by 2. So if you String Shot an opposing Pokemon, we can go back to this stats list. They will be at -2, so they will have half speed. And then if you use it again, they'll be at -4. They'll have 1/3 speed. -6 is 1/4 speed. So it's kind of the same thing, just inverted. So anyway, that's really all there is to it. We're going to jump into one quick battle here. I'm just going to do an unrated random battle without Dynamax, so nothing gets too complicated. And you just click battle. I'm playing on Pokemon Showdown, by the way. I'll have a link in the description if you want to play it. So here's the interface on Pokemon Showdown. So it tells you all of your stats, and then your typing is Psychic. My opponent's typing is Dark Dragon, and so we know that Psychic has no effect on Dark types. You can also see your speed and the range of their speed, because remember, you could pick your Pokemon stats. Because we're playing a game, this is random battle, so they just give you random Pokemon and you have to figure it out. So there's a lot of strategy involved. I'm not going to get too much into the strategy for now because I'm just trying to show the battle. I don't think Guzzlord typically runs speed boost, so I'm going to try and go with the Moonblast because it is 4 times super effective to their Guzzlord. He is absolutely enormous. Okay. And he used knockoff. It did 61.6% of its health. Anytime they use a move, you can look up what that move does. Absol has a life orb. So if he attacks again, he's going to kill me. So I think I'm going to send in Garbodor. I do love this Pokemon. I'm going to lose my item again. But now I can set up Toxic Spikes. So these all say what they're doing. This sets up a hazard on the opposing side of the field that any time a Pokemon comes in, if they don't have flying or they're not poison type, they will become poisoned. So this is a really strong effect to have over time. He's going for a Draco Meteor. Honestly, I kind of want to just get another Toxic Spikes. If you have 1 tier up, the poison does like a little bit of damage. If you get a second tier of toxic spikes, the poison does a whole bunch of damage. And we keep our Garbodor. So yeah, it's very complicated. It's going to be very hard to follow this in real time, but if you're new to the game, stick with it and you will learn it pretty quickly because there's not that many moves. Pain Split averages your hit points and your opponent's hit points. I know Guzzlord has an insane amount of HP, so I can Pain Split and just steal some of his hit points. And now he's Darkened Dragon. I can probably just Gunk Shot and finish him off. So now I have a Garbodor who still has a little bit of health. His ability is Aftermath, so after an opponent kills him, I think with a physical type move, he will deal damage to them. And any Pokemon they switch in with, I was just going to get to that, unless it's a poison type Pokemon, will get poisoned. Poison type Pokemon will remove all of the spikes. So we kind of got owned there, and Quillfish is very fast. So he's probably going to go for a fighting type move. I think I'm just going to let my Garbodor die to this waterfall. Hit the Quillfish with Aftermath, and then set up with Regieleki. So anytime your Pokemon dies, you can choose which Pokemon to bring in. So we're going to bring in Regieleki, because he's really fast. Look, he has 375 speed, compared to Quillfish, who has like a maximum of 200. And I'm going to use Volt Switch. So his power is boosted by Magnet, which ups the damage of lightning type moves, or electric. And Volt Switch, when you use it, you hit them for damage, and then you switch Pokemon. So now I can choose a Pokemon I want to send out against them. I love Giratina, so I might do that, but yeah, you know what? Let's send out Giratina. Show you some big dragons. This Pokemon's very strong. I think he's legendary. Ghost and Dragon typing is very strong. And his ability, or his item Leftovers, heals him, I think like 1/12 of his HP every turn. Okay, so my opponent has a Tapu Koko. It's electric and fairy type. It's very fast. Fairy type is super effective to dragon type. So we are actually in a bit of trouble. They also have special attack. I can't really touch this Pokemon, and I think they can probably kill me in one shot. But we could go for a Toxic here, because I don't have anything that's strong. I guess Slowking. Yeah, let's send in Slowking, actually. So they use Substitute, so it takes some of your HP, but now I have to deal damage to the Substitute and kill it before I can kill them. We're just going to use a Sludge Bomb. Oh, I don't know. I guess I turned off the animations. I like the animations. So they used Calm Mind, which so now they are one stage higher in special attack and special defense. So it just shows you 1.5 times. So we're going to Sludge Bomb again. And Thunderbolt does not kill my Slowking, but it does paralyze him. So I guess the last thing I forgot to mention is status effects. We'll go through those at the very end, but paralysis makes your speed 1/2 of its current value. So you can see it goes from 94 to 47. And then there's a 30% chance that you... Oh, I can send in him, right? There's a 30% chance that you will not be able to attack due to paralysis. So that's why they went for the substitute, because if I get paralyzed, I think I'm just going to go for this again. Okay. Yeah, if I'd gotten paralyzed there, I wouldn't have been able to attack, but it's a 30% chance. And Slowking has this awesome ability, Regenerator, which means anytime he switches out of combat, he gains, I think, 30% of his HP back. Hermosa is Bug and Fighting. So I think Giratina is very strong against that. So we'll send out Giratina versus Pheromosa. I'm actually not familiar with this Pokemon. I think it has very high special attack. But close combat has no effect on ghost types. Fighting just doesn't touch ghost. Now we can Toxic their Sigilyph, which has Magic Guard so that it doesn't take damage from poison. But we can just use Hex, which is super effective to Psychic, and it does bonus damage if the opponent is poisoned. Ooh, they have a Toxicity. So he's electric and poison type. So Toxic, you cannot poison type Pokemons. That just makes sense. So Toxic would have no effect on this guy. He has very high special attack. I think I'm just going to go for a Hex and see how much damage it does, because he's not doing a whole lot either. I think I'm going to Hex again. And somehow I'm faster, which is a bit ridiculous, but it is what it is. So we can Hex one more time. And I'm actually just going to win this exchange. right? I Hex again, he dies, and I keep my Giratina around. And so their last Pokemon is Bug and Fighting, which has almost no effect on Giratina. I'm going to go for a Rest here, just to see what they're going to do. Oh, they had Throat Chop. That's weird they switched out. Okay, so we are in a bit of trouble. They have a Dark-type move. I think I'm just going to send out Regieleki, and he has an ability, or a move called Explosion, which just instantly kills your Pokemon, but it has a base power of 250. Most moves have like a base power of 100. I could also Volt Switch. No, I'm just going to Explosion. I think Explosion should just kill Pheromosa, yeah. And the reason I did that is I still had 3 Pokemon left. They had no Pokemon left, so even though I'm trading 1 for 1, it's still great because I have 3 left. And then the way you win is you know, they have no Pokemon left and you have all the Pokemon left. All right, as I promised, this is the last bit explaining status effects. So there are this many. There's Paralyzed, which is the one I saw. I was wrong. It's a 25% chance of not being able to attack. Your speed is decreased by 50. But then there's Poisoned. Poison Pokemon loses a set amount of HP every turn. And I think it's weird it doesn't say, but it's like 1/8 of their HP every turn, I think. It kills them reasonably quickly. Badly Poisoned is when you have like Toxic or you get 2 layers of spikes. You take 1/16 of your maximum HP damage the first turn, and then an additional 1/16 the second. So it'd be 1/16, 2/16, 3/16. You die very quickly. Burned reduces your attack by 50%, and you lose 1/8 of your HP every turn. Frozen, you just can't attack, and you'll thaw out eventually. Frozen is like the worst one to have. Confused, you stay confused for 1 to 4 turns, and you have a 50% chance of attacking your opponent or damaging yourself and doing nothing. And then Infatuation never really comes up. Leech Seed is 1 move, and it drains HP from your opponent and gives it to you by 1/16 every turn. Basically, you would just you'll just play and experience these status effects, and you'll understand. So that's kind of a rough overview of the Pokemon game. That's random battles, so you don't have any built-in synergies. As I'm playing or as you just watch games, you'll see like there are synergies you design for in making your team. Like you can have, 1 fast Pokemon and a bunch of Pokemon to switch into your fast Pokemon so you can get first hits and things like that. But you'll see what I'm playing. So yeah, if this was helpful, please let me know. If there's anything I missed, I'll probably have to make a follow-up video. There's so much stuff I could talk about. Like what items do you set? There's like a bunch of them. But a lot of the things, it's kind of like any other game. They say what they do and you just look it up and like, what does Pikachu Assault Vest do? Well, his special defense is 1.5 times. But he can only use damaging moves, so we can't use like agility and things like that. So there's just stuff to look up, but hopefully that was a good introduction. And if you guys are interested in this, I'm going to be posting a lot of videos like this. So see you guys then.